July 19th, 1991, the Canterbury Hotel in Indianapolis. At 2:30 a.m., surveillance cameras capture a crying girl running out of the main entrance. A few hours later, she will write a statement about rape. Within a month, 5 other women will be ready to testify about similar incidents. Only one case will make it to court. 3 witnesses will mysteriously die in car accidents. 1 woman will disappear without a trace. Another will recant her testimony after a visit from unknown men in black. This is just one episode from the dark history of Mike Tyson, the youngest world heavyweight champion. A man whose name has become a symbol not only of boxing greatness, but also of unsolved crimes. Over the 37 years of his career, 23 people have either died or disappeared around him. Financial fraud through front companies reached $300 million. Underground bare-knuckle fights, occult rituals, ties to drug cartels. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And now, as the 58-year-old Tyson prepares for a fight with Jake Paul on November 15, 2024, it's time to reveal the whole truth. The truth that began on the dirty streets of Brownsville, Brooklyn, officially one of the most dangerous neighborhoods of New York in the 1970s. This is where, at house number 178 on Amboy Street, Mike Tyson was born. His mother, Lorna Smith, worked odd jobs to feed 3 children. His father left the family before Mike was born. According to documents, his father was Jimmy Kirkpatrick, a pimp with a criminal past. Although Tyson himself later claimed that his real father was another man, a famous boxer at the time. By the age of 7, little Mike was already taking part in street fights. By 10, he led a street gang. Police records show that by 13, he had been arrested 38 times for robbery, theft, and assault. He rarely attended school. Documents show he was expelled from 7 educational institutions. An interesting fact: as a child, Tyson made money by breaking into other people's houses through windows. He was so small and agile that he could even squeeze through narrow transoms. Local crime bosses used him for their own purposes, paying him pennies. By his own admission, he earned his first serious money, $500, from burglary. The turning point came in a reform school for juvenile delinquents in Brooklyn. This is where the meeting that changed everything took place. Former boxer Bobby Stewart, who worked with troubled teens, noticed Tyson's unusual abilities. He introduced the boy to the legendary trainer Cus D'Amato. Cus D'Amato, a man who had already created 2 world champions, Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres. But his training methods, documented in numerous interviews and memoirs of his students, were far from conventional. D'Amato would take promising boxers to live in his home in Catskill, completely isolating them from the outside world. According to official documents, D'Amato became the legal guardian of 14-year-old Tyson after his mother's death. The daily routine was harsh. Wake up at 5 a.m., run, train, school, train again. No entertainment, no television, no girls. Just boxing. Archival training records show the amazing progress of young Tyson. In his first year of training, he had 60 amateur fights, winning 56 of them by knockout. His punch was already so powerful that special reinforced punching bags were ordered for him. He would simply destroy regular ones. By 18, Tyson weighed 214 pounds at a height of 5 feet 10 inches. Medical examinations at the time showed abnormal bone density and extremely developed musculature, a result of genetics and exhausting training. His neck was thicker than that of professional weightlifters. But the most interesting things were happening behind the scenes at D'Amato's training camp. According to eyewitness accounts, the old trainer held strange psychological sessions with Tyson. He would spend hours telling stories about the great conquerors of the past, forcing him to read books on military strategy. It is documented that D'Amato's library contained books on hypnosis and psychological programming. When Cus D'Amato died of pneumonia in 1985, 19-year-old Tyson was left alone with a world he was absolutely unprepared for. He had phenomenal boxing skills but lacked basic social skills. He didn't know how to communicate with people outside the ring, how to manage money, how to build relationships. And here enters the man who will change his life forever, Don King. A promoter with 2 murders in his past, One acquitted as self-defense, for the other he served for years. King saw a gold mine in the young Tyson. Documents show that the very first contract Tyson signed with King contained clauses that effectively made the boxer the promoter's financial slave. Thus began the rise to fame, which will soon turn into one of the most stunning cases of downfall in the history of sports. 1986. In just 1 year of his professional career, Mike Tyson has 15 fights, all victories, 13 by knockout. Sports analysts were shocked. Such statistics had never been seen in heavyweight history. But even more shocking were the financial reports. According to official data, the 20-year-old boxer earned $50 million. And according to unofficial data, twice as much. HBO boxing specialists who filmed his fights recorded an incredible fact. The average duration of a Tyson fight was 1 minute 47 seconds. Viewers often didn't even have time to sit down before it was all over. Bookmakers began to refuse to take bets on Tyson's victory. The odds were so low that it lost all meaning. An interesting fact: according to the medical commissions examining Tyson's opponents, 80% of them required hospitalization after the fight, or ended their careers due to injuries sustained. Tyson's punch developed a speed of 760 kilograms per square centimeter, enough to break through a brick wall. But outside the ring, things were not so rosy. Financial documents from that period paint a strange picture. Huge sums disappeared from Tyson's accounts within days. Cash was hauled away in suitcases. In one weekend, he could spend $1 million. Jewelry stores on Fifth Avenue would close to other customers when Iron Mike came to town. Don King, taking advantage of Tyson's inexperience, created a complex system of contracts. An audit in 1988 revealed that 30% of each of the boxers' purses automatically went to the accounts of front companies. In total, according to expert estimates, King appropriated about $100 million from Tyson's earnings through various schemes. Particular attention is drawn to the period of preparation for the championship fight with Trevor Berbick. A week before the match, a series of strange incidents occurred at Tyson's training camp. 3 sparring partners were hospitalized. The official version is training injuries, but medical reports mention injuries unusual for boxing. One of the boxers later hinted at non-standard training methods, but quickly fell silent after a visit from King's people. The marriage to Robin Givens in 1988 was the beginning of the end. Police reports from that period contain shocking details. 24 calls in 8 months. Broken mirrors, smashed furniture, traces of blood on the walls. One report records that Tyson threw a 50-inch television out of a 5th-floor window because it was showing boxing without him. According to security, Tyson kept 3 Bengal tigers on his estate. The cost of their upkeep was $4,000 a day. An interesting fact: the tigers were trained to respond to the command, "Sick Bim." Neighbors repeatedly complained about the eerie roaring in the middle of the night and missing pets. But the darkest page of this period is the ties to the criminal world. The U.S. Tax Service recorded regular visits to Tyson's estate by known mafia bosses. According to the FBI, some of Tyson's fights were attended by all the heads of the East Coast crime clans, something that hadn't happened since the days of Al Capone. The first serious crack appeared in February 1990, the fight with James "Buster" Douglas in Tokyo. Tyson found himself knocked out for the first time in his career. Later, evidence emerged that before the fight, he had spent 48 hours without sleep, partying with local prostitutes. His trainer found him in a hotel room 2 hours before the fight. Tyson was eating ice cream and watching Japanese cartoons. Analysis of boxing statistics shows striking changes. If in the early years of his career Tyson landed an average of 40 accurate punches per round, now this number had dropped to 12. Medical tests revealed traces of cocaine and alcohol in his blood. But the worst was yet to come. July 19, 1991. The Cannabis Hotel in Indianapolis. 2:30 a.m. surveillance cameras capture a crying 18-year-old girl running out of the hotel. This is Desiree Washington, a contestant in the Miss Black America pageant. A few hours later, she will appear at the police station with a statement that will forever change the history of boxing. A rape allegation. The suspect, Mike Tyson, the youngest world heavyweight champion. Court transcripts reveal a shocking picture of that night. The medical examination records not only traces of sexual assault, but also numerous bruises, bite marks, and soft tissue tears. Testimony from hotel staff describes animalistic screams from room 606. But most interestingly, the surveillance camera recordings from this period mysteriously disappear from the hotel archive. Within the next week, 5 more women go to the police. They all tell similar stories about encounters with Tyson between 1988 and 1991. Police reports contain detailed descriptions of the violence, but these cases never make it to court. According to detectives working on the case, all the women were offered hush money. The amounts range from $50,000 to $250,000. Tyson's financial activity during this period is of particular interest. Bank statements show a series of strange transactions. A week before the trial, $5 million disappear from his accounts. The money passes through a network of shell companies in the Cayman Islands and vanishes without a trace. Additionally, the bank's security service records 12 visits by unknown persons to Tyson's safe deposit boxes. On February 10, 1992, the court delivers its verdict, 6 years in prison. Tyson is sent to the Indiana State Prison, and here begins the strangest part of the story. Prison records from 1992 to 1995 reveal an unprecedented picture. Usually, those convicted of rape are held in strict conditions. But not Tyson. He receives special status. His 80-square-meter cell is more like a hotel room. A personal TV, a music center, a collection of books. Over the 3 years of imprisonment, more than $200,000 are deposited into his account at the prison store. Particular attention is drawn to the visitor list. 897 visits in 3 years, an absolute record for the U.S. penitentiary system. Among the visitors are known crime bosses, politicians, Hollywood stars. According to the prison administration, some meetings lasted up to 6 hours, although the maximum allowed time is 2 hours. In prison, Tyson undergoes a strange transformation. He converts to Islam and takes the name Malik Abdul Aziz. But his religious explorations are not limited to traditional Islam. Prison priests note his obsession with the occult. Books on black magic, drawings of pentagrams, and strange Arabic writings are found in his cell. Psychiatric reports from that period paint a disturbing picture. Doctors record deep personality changes, delusions of grandeur, and signs of split consciousness. Tyson spends hours talking to himself, drawing strange symbols on the walls, refusing to sleep with the lights off. But the most interesting things are happening outside the prison. Even while behind bars, Tyson continues to earn millions. His name is used in advertising, video games, and merchandise. According to Forbes, over the 3 years of his imprisonment, his brand brings in over $100 million. However, most of this money disappears into a complex network of offshore companies. An audit in 1994 reveals a shocking scheme. Don King created a system of 23 shell companies through which Tyson's money passed. Each transaction was subject to a commission of 15 to 30%. By the time the money reached the boxer's official accounts, only a third remained. During the same period, strange things begin to happen to people associated with Tyson's case. 2 key witnesses in the rape case die in car accidents within 1 month. The security guard at the Canterbury Hotel who testified against Tyson dies of a heroin overdose, although all his acquaintances claim he never used drugs. A journalist investigating the boxer's financial fraud disappears after visiting the prison. Prison records note another interesting fact. In 3 years of imprisonment, Tyson never once gets involved in fights or conflicts. In the prison environment, where violence is the norm, this raises suspicions. Later, one inmate will tell that everyone in the prison knew. Whoever messes with Tyson won't live to see the morning. In March 1995, Tyson is released after serving 3 years. But this is a different person. Psychiatrists note a complete transformation of personality. His gaze becomes detached, his speech confused. He speaks of himself in the third person and often refers to voices in his head. Tyson's financial state at the time of his release raises many questions. Of the former $300 million, less than 50 remains. The tax service discovers an unpaid tax liability of $13 million. But the strangest thing is Tyson's new expenses. He buys a collection of medieval torture devices, orders a special crypt at the cemetery, spends hundreds of thousands on crystals and amulets. In his entourage appears a mysterious figure, a spiritual advisor from Haiti, known for his ties to voodoo cults. Surveillance cameras in Tyson's new estate capture strange nightly rituals. Neighbors report missing pets and eerie sounds at night. Sports analysts note cardinal changes in Tyson's technique. His former scientific style is replaced by something primal, almost animalistic. During training, he ignores defense, deliberately takes punches, as if testing the limits of pain. Medical examinations reveal alarming changes. His testosterone levels are 5 times the norm. An MRI shows abnormalities in the frontal lobes of the brain. Doctors suspect the influence of unknown drugs, but Tyson refuses further studies. All this will become the prologue to the most scandalous period in his career, which will culminate in the infamous fight with Evander Holyfield. March 1995, Las Vegas. Mike Tyson returns to the ring after 3 years in prison. His first fight with Peter McNeely lasted 89 seconds. For the audience, it looked like a triumphant return of the king. But people from Tyson's inner circle saw alarming signs. According to the training camp, the preparation for the fight was accompanied by strange incidents. Tyson refused to train until sunset. Dead birds with severed heads were found in the locker room. Strange symbols appeared on the walls, drawn in something resembling blood. 3 sparring partners left the camp, citing unacceptable training methods. Financial documents from that period show a shocking picture. In the 6 months after his release, Tyson spent $27 million. Among the purchases, a collection of rare African masks for $3 million, antique books on black magic for $800,000, live tigers and lions at a cost of $250,000 per month to maintain. Particular attention is drawn to regular transfers of large sums to accounts in Haiti and Nigeria, countries known for their occult practices. November 1996. The first fight with Evander Holyfield. Bookmakers record strange activity. 24 hours before the fight, the odds change drastically. Suddenly, huge sums are being bet on Holyfield to win. Later, the FBI will discover that most of these bets were made by people associated with organized crime. Tyson loses the fight by technical knockout in the 11th round, but experts' attention is drawn not to the result itself, but to the boxer's behavior. Video recordings show him periodically freezing in the middle of the fight, as if listening to something. His eyes often focus on an empty corner of the ring. Later, one of the cornermen will tell that Tyson spent the whole night before the fight talking to an invisible interlocutor. Preparation for the second fight with Holyfield turns into a real thriller. According to eyewitnesses, Tyson performs strange rituals. A group of Haitian priests appears at his training camp. They conduct hours-long ceremonies behind closed doors. Local residents report strange sounds at night and the disappearance of pets. June 28, 1997. The second fight with Holyfield goes down in history as the bite fight. In the 3rd round, Tyson twice bites Holyfield's ears, tearing off a piece of cartilage. But few know what was happening behind the scenes of this scandal. According to the Las Vegas police, a week before the fight, a meeting of the biggest crime bosses in the U.S. took place in the city. Representatives of all the major mafia families were present. The topic of the meeting remains unknown, but after it, huge bets on Tyson's disqualification appear on the totalizators. Tyson's medical examination after the fight reveals strange things. Traces of unknown substances are found in his blood. Analysis shows a mixture of stimulants, hallucinogens, and substances used in voodoo rituals. Experts suggest that his consciousness was altered under the influence of these drugs. The consequences of the bite fight proved catastrophic. The Nevada State Athletic Commission revokes Tyson's license, and fines him $3 million. But the real problems begin outside the ring. Over the next few months, people around Tyson begin to die. One of his bodyguards, who threatened to reveal the truth about the fight, crashes his car on a straight road in broad daylight. Examination reveals that the brake system was deliberately damaged. A journalist investigating the possible connection of the fight with organized crime disappears. His dictaphone with interview recordings is found at the bottom of Lake Mead. A financial audit in 1998 reveals a shocking picture. Of the $400 million earned by Tyson over his career, less than 30 remain. The investigation reveals a complex scheme of embezzlement through a network of 32 front companies in 7 countries. Don King created a system where every Tyson dollar passed through 5 or 6 intermediaries, leaving a commission at each stage. Tyson's mental state rapidly deteriorates. Security reports regular fits of rage during which he smashes everything around him. In his mansion, a room is found with walls completely covered in strange symbols. According to the staff, he spends hours there talking to the spirits of past champions. 1999 brings new problems. During a fight in a road rage incident, Tyson hits an elderly man. The court sentences him to 1 year in prison. But here's the interesting thing. The surveillance camera recordings from the scene mysteriously disappear. Witnesses suddenly change their testimonies. Police reports are rewritten retroactively. In prison, Tyson again immerses himself in the occult. Prison priests report strange rituals in his cell. Drawings of pentagrams and African voodoo symbols appear on the walls. Guards hear eerie chants in the middle of the night. 3 inmates who had conflicts with Tyson suddenly fall into an inexplicable psychosis. Returning to freedom, Tyson begins to spend money with renewed vigor. Financial reports from 2000 to 2002 show insane expenses. $2 million for a collection of rare pigeons. $1.5 million for ordering his own sarcophagus in the Egyptian style. $800,000 for a shaman from Nigeria. $3 million for the construction of an underground bunker with protection from dark forces. In 2002, before the fight with Lennox Lewis, a series of strange incidents occur. At the hotel where Tyson is staying, guests report sounds of drums in the middle of the night. Maids find remnants of ritual animal sacrifices. At the press conference, Tyson declares that he will eat Lewis's children. Later he will explain that these were not his words, but the voices in his head. The fight with Lewis becomes the last major bout in Tyson's career. Defeat by knockout in the 8th round. But experts note Tyson's strange behavior. Video recordings show him periodically looking into an empty corner of the ring and nodding, as if receiving instructions from someone invisible. 2003. Tyson officially declares bankruptcy. The debt amounts to $23 million. The tax service discovers unpaid taxes for the last 10 years. But the most interesting thing is the investigation shows that a significant part of Tyson's money was used to finance illegal bare-knuckle fights in underground clubs in Las Vegas. Police raids reveal a network of illegal establishments where fights to the death are held. According to informants, Tyson was a frequent guest at these places. He made huge bets and often showed up there in a strange state, under the influence of unknown substances, mumbling something about sacrifices to the spirits of boxing. By 2004, almost nothing remains of Tyson's former empire. Estates sold for debts, tigers transferred to zoos, rarity collections auctioned off. But the scariest thing is the complete degradation of the personality of the former champion. 2005. Officially, Mike Tyson ends his professional career. But behind the scenes begins an even more spine-chilling story. Police reports from that period reveal the existence of a network of underground boxing clubs where bare-knuckle fights are held. And the main star of these establishments becomes the former world champion. According to the FBI, these fights took place in abandoned warehouses in Las Vegas and in the basements of casinos. Bets started at $1 million. Fights often ended in serious injuries and sometimes death. Tyson was not just a spectator. He personally trained fighters for these matches. Financial documents show a complex money laundering scheme through these underground fights. According to experts, the monthly turnover was about $50 million. The money passed through a network of front companies registered in the Cayman Islands and Panama. 2008 brings a new twist. In the suburbs of Las Vegas, police discover a secret training center. According to informants, fighters were being prepared there for underground fights. Medical documents found at the site indicate the use of experimental drugs. Some of them were banned, even for laboratory research. Particular attention is drawn to a series of disappearances of young fighters in 2009 to 2010. 5 promising boxers vanish without a trace after attending private training sessions with Tyson. Police find their personal belongings in the desert near Las Vegas. The cases still remain unsolved. In 2010, Tyson unexpectedly appears in Thailand. According to local police, he visits remote temples and meets with masters of ancient martial arts. During this period, $5 million disappear from his bank accounts. The money is transferred to accounts of secret societies practicing black magic. 2012 becomes a turning point. Tyson launches his show, Mike Tyson, Undisputed Truth. But behind the scenes, strange things are happening. 3 show producers suddenly quit, citing unacceptable working methods. One of them will later write in a private letter about eerie rituals and incomprehensible meetings in the middle of the night. In parallel, Tyson develops his cannabis business. Ranch Companies officially produces legal marijuana, but a journalistic investigation reveals disturbing facts. Illegal migrants, including minors, work on the plantations. According to former employees, part of the farm's territory is closed even to senior staff. Strange sounds often come from there at night. 2015 brings new puzzles. An underground bunker is being built on Tyson's ranch, officially for product storage. But blueprints that have leaked to the press show a strange configuration of rooms resembling ancient Aztec temples. Builders talk about finds of strange artifacts and human bones during excavations. The period from 2016 to 2018 is marked by a series of mysterious events around Tyson's cannabis business. The tax service records strange discrepancies. Official product sales amount to $20 million a year, but 4 times as much passes through the company's accounts. The money disappears into a network of offshore companies registered in the Caymans and Belize. Particular attention is drawn to the regular flights of Tyson's private jet to remote regions of Mexico and Colombia, officially for the purchase of rare cannabis strains. But radars record that the plane often deviates from the declared route and lands in areas known for drug cartel activity. 2019, a closed zone of 20 hectares appears on Tyson's ranch. Satellite images show strange circular structures resembling ancient ritual buildings. Local residents report unusual light phenomena at night and sounds resembling ritual drums. 3 journalists who tried to investigate this story suddenly changed jobs and refused to communicate with the press. 2020 brings new mysteries. Tyson returns to the ring for an exhibition fight with Roy Jones Jr., but experts' attention is drawn not so much to the fight itself as to the training process. According to eyewitnesses, the preparation included strange rituals using animal blood. In the locker room before the fight, mysterious symbols drawn on the walls are found. 2021 to 2022. Tyson launches a line of psychedelic mushrooms under the Toad brand. Officially, the product is positioned as legal supplements for meditation, but an investigation reveals that the formula contains banned components that cause strong hallucinations. 3 cases of hospitalization after using these supplements are quickly hushed up. 2023 becomes a year of strange transformations. Tyson's behavior becomes increasingly eccentric. In interviews, he talks about communicating with the spirits of deceased boxers. New tattoos with occult symbols appear on his body. Security reports nightly monologues with invisible interlocutors. Today, looking at Mike Tyson's smiling face in his cannabis business ads or interviews, it's hard to believe all these eerie stories. But the facts speak for themselves. Behind the mask of a successful businessman and reformed sinner hides a man whose life is full of dark secrets. And while the world prepares for the upcoming match, the main question arises. What is really happening behind the scenes of Iron Mike's empire? How many more secrets does the former champion hide? And will this fight not become the beginning of a new round of mysterious events? Perhaps we will never know the whole truth. But one thing can be said for sure. The story of Mike Tyson is not just the story of a boxer. It's a tale of how fame and money can turn a person into their own dark version. And it seems that the scariest chapters of this story are still ahead